The following presentation is brought to you by the Realm Network. This is Vince Russo's The Brand.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Lions, Tigers, Bears, and Gilbernetti. Listen, I'm gonna start this note. I'm gonna start it a little differently. I had a very tough week. Jeff Lane knows I had a tough week, so I made a decision. You say a lot of times I come on here and I slander your good name, and I butcher the name. You say it's not Gilbernetti, it's Gilberti. And I have to admit...
I already know where you're going with this because I saw you post it.
I'm trying to apologize.
I'm leaving the show. If you go forward with this, I'm leaving the show.
I'm trying to apologize. Ladies and gentlemen, his real name is Glenn Gilberti. Not Gilbernetti. I made that up because I thought it was funny. And obviously it wasn't funny. Now, I also want to give credit where credit is due. Everybody says Vince Russo takes credit for I take credit for The Rock. I take credit for Austin. I take credit for the hand that came out of Mae West. Listen, since Glenn Gilberti has come on this show, the ratings have gone up. The numbers have gone up. There's no denying that. Glenn, I told you that, right? Did I not give you credit?
So wait, time out. The numbers have gone up drastically. Drastically.
The numbers have gone up drastically. Okay. So I realized I should be very thankful for Glenn Gilberti. I owe him an apology. I owe your mother an apology for making fun of the name. So I said, okay, you know what? I need to come up with something more endearing to refer to Glenn as, since I can't use Gilbernetti anymore. So I reached out to our beloved Bryan, Jeff, and I said, listen, I want to turn a new leaf. I need some creative suggestions of what I can refer to Glenn Gilberti as. Can you please offer your suggestions? So, Glenn, for the record, I want to state none of these ideas are mine. I am not taking credit for any of them. The good people of the brand suggested some of these names. Now, I'd like to bounce them off of you first to make sure they're okay and I'm not out of line and you feel comfortable. If you don't like the name, just say so. I'll cross it right off the list.
Go ahead.
Okay. The first name, the first one that they said I should refer to you as, I guess in a term of endearment, is the nose that knows. Is that acceptable, or would you like that crossed off the list?
Cross that off the list, please.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, whoever came up with that. Now here, somebody all the way from Scotland, a Scottish fellow, he said, Vince, how about this name? He said, I should refer to Glenn as Numpty. And I said, Mr. Scottish, sir, what does Numpty mean? And he said, well, Numpty usually means somebody that is stupid or ineffective. Are you comfortable with Numpty?
No, I'm not comfortable with that at all, either.
Are you being racist because the guy's from Scotland?
No, I'm not being racist because the guy's from Scotland.
Okay, all right, let me go on. Maybe there's better ones, Glenn. Let's just go on. Now, this one, I don't think you should have a problem with this one. This person said, how about referring to Glenn Gilberti as an old lady sex toy?
I'm not happy with that one either.
Okay, let me go on, bro. We have some, we have a list to choose from. Disco McNumbnuts.
No.
Nope. Okay, sorry about that. Bro, this was Randy Helms. Now, Jeff, I think this one is acceptable. This one maybe made me pop the loudest. Mr. Gilberti, I don't think you should take any exception to this one, and feel free choosing this one, even though I still have a few others to go through. Randy said we should refer to Mr. Gilberti as human oxygen thief. Bro, is that the one? Should I put a check next to that one?
No, if you just you can do this. You can never refer to me as human oxygen thief, but you can refer to me with those initials.
Awesome.
Wow, that's a quick thinker right there, Jeff. Huh? All right. Well, Randy. I'm sorry. That was one of my favorites. Okay. Now, how about this one? Because there's a little, background posted to this one. We all know the story. It's been documented. Manline's favorite customer, Glenn Gilberti. Let me, like I would start the show, everybody, Vince Russo, Jeff Lane, and Manline's favorite customer, Glenn Gilberti. Does that work?
Bro, you're just acting, this is why people, create Twitter accounts to just, to attack you because you're an imbecile.
Okay,
you're an imbecile, all right?
All right, that's a no. All right, listen, this one I'm going to scratch off the list myself, Jeff, because this was inappropriate. Somebody just wanted to refer to you as Scrotum Man. I don't agree with that. I'll cross that one out. That's not right. Somebody, bro, this one isn't bad. They combined Glenn and Chump, and they came up with Gump. Does that work?
Of course not.
Okay. Well, you look like you were thinking about it. Bro, I'll cross this one out. There's no creativity. Somebody said jabron. Bro, I get this a lot. And we may want to think about this one. Jeff, we may want to kick this one around. Somebody suggested Kermit Inferno. Now, a lot of people, Glenn, say that you come on here and they're not sure if I'm interviewing Glenn Gilberti or Kermit the Frog. Does that work?
Is Kermit the Frog? Is that the Romper Room? Or what was that show? Sesame
Street, bro, not Romper Room, bro. Romper Room.
Well, either way, that just shows that just tells me that the people that listen to your show, okay, and follow you. No, actually, your Twitter followers are the type of grown men, 35 to 45 years old. You'll probably sitting at home eating milk and cereal, watching cartoons, and when they find time, they listen to you. So I would see like that coming from one of your Twitter followers.
Okay, all right. There's only a couple more. We're almost through the list.
Was Kermit really on Sesame Street?
No, he wasn't. The Muppets.
I thought he was.
The Muppets.
Yeah,
all right. All right, so that's off the list.
40 years ago.
Now, Glenn, how about that? We only got a couple more. How about this one? This one isn't bad, honestly. Somebody said I should refer to you as a rapscallion, and they said that means a mischievous person. That's not bad, right? Is that okay?
Nope.
Okay, all right. Couple more. Jeff, I think somebody wrote this one in for you, and I don't even think Glenn is going to understand this one. But when you think about it, it's pretty good. Jeff, somebody said we should refer to Glenn as Lloyd Braun.
Serenity now. Later.
Two more, and then I'm going to give you the one I may have decided on. Somebody said we should refer to Glenn as Jabronetti. So the combination of Gilbernetti and Jabronetti. Glenn?
No, I don't like that either.
Okay. Now here's one, Glenn. Your friend Raven used this word, Glenn. Raven used this to describe David Arquette. He used the word nebbish. Nebbish. I used to
call Raven a nebbish. Okay, that's my word. All right, so he stole.
So is this the word then we can use?
It's a word that comes from my father. It's a derogatory term. Okay, and a nebbish is about what you could probably figure out what a nebbish looks like. Okay, but no, you can't use that because it is a derogatory term.
So, bro, you mean to tell me on my interview, Raven hijacked your word and took
100%.
Ownage of it?
Absolutely. My dad used to call me a nebbish.
Because he said David Arquette, he called David Arquette a nebbish.
But I used to call Raven a nebbish.
Unbelievable. Okay.
So
Bro,
you thought he was a genius.
all right, this is the last one because I like this one. When I think of Glenn, I think of this word, and I may replace Gil Bernetti with this. Okay, scallywag. When I look at that smug face, the haircut, the whole thing, I think of a scallywag. Is that appropriate?
I think based on your racist comments this week that you made on Twitter, I think you're the scallywag. And that's actually something we should call you. Wouldn't you agree?
All right, Jeff, I want to, Jeff, before we get to your list, because Jeff prepares a nice format every week with the topics. But, Jeff, I've not gotten a chance to really talk about Glenn. Now, granted, the 10 phone calls a day, there were many opportunities.
2 in a week. Like 2 in a week.
Okay, but we didn't get the chance to talk about this. So I want to ask Glenn about this to start the discussion. And Jeff, I have a very short-term memory. Bro, remind me to talk about Impact later on because I watched last week's episode last night. I watched it, and I want to talk about that a little bit. Glenn, I want to talk to you about Monday Night Raw, Finn Balor, first appearance on the show. In the same night, pins Rusev, the U.S. champion, pins Roman Reigns, I think 2-time WWE champion. I think guys that are clearly bigger than him. I let my feelings be known about what I felt about this, and it had nothing to do with Finn Balor. It was the booking of it. It was the booking of the matches, the booking of the wins. I did not like the booking. It had nothing to do with Mr. Balor personally. What is your expert opinion on the intro, the 2 matches, the 2 big wins, him going to SummerSlam? I would just love to hear your input on that.
Well, I mean, honestly, if a 13-year-old kid could have booked that. Anybody could book a wrestler showing up on a show, making a match and booking him to go over. He didn't say anything. He didn't have any entrance vignettes or anything. Or
I got some breaking news here.
What do you got?
The brand is a big fan of Melissa Santos, so she has just called out Eden Styles. Now, Eden Styles' real name, Brandy Rhodes. That is the wife of Cody Rhodes that used to be the ring announcer for WWE. She left, when Cody left.
Right.
Now, Melissa tweets, when Eden Styles is rude when you try to talk to her at the gym, then you tell her you're from Lucha Underground and she changes her tune, but you walk the other way because she lost her chance to be nice.
Bro, that little Melissa is like a spitfire, bro. There was some kind of controversy with her and Karen Jarrett, and now we've got this. I think Melissa may be due for an appearance on the brand. You know what I'm saying, Jeff?
Yeah, it's been probably about a year since she's been on, hasn't
bro,
it?
let me tell you something about Melissa Santos. Very small girl, very tiny girl. You would think she's harmless, but bro, like when something or somebody pisses her off, she's got no problem, bro, speaking her mind, and that's what I love about Melissa.
Brandy hasn't replied yet, and of course, to be fair, we want both sides of this story. Oh, here she goes. She just replied.
What do we got? Breaking news.
Yes, Brandy tweets to Melissa, super unprofessional. I wasn't rude to you. You caught me off guard passing on the street and said, are you a ring announcer?
Okay, so this is going to go off.
Story developing.
This is story developing as we go.
Story developing.
Bro,
here.
I have no idea what he's doing over there. He's moving all around. Are you back now?
He's back and he's active.
All right, listen, Glenn, so do you want to make any further comments about no thought was put into it or anything? I mean, is that basically all you have to say?
It's for the crowd that they have. They like wrestling matches. They don't care about promos. It's the NXT crowd. I mean, that they're booking the show for. They're not like trying to get a bigger audience. I mean, like they said, the show's around the talent, or it's supposed to be. But honestly, the show was basically it's still around the G. Like which GM is having the better show? That's like the gist of like what they're promoting this as, right? The Raw versus SmackDown.
Well, Jeff made the comment yesterday. We were doing a little comedy segment with Mark and Mark, but Jeff said something really interesting. Jeff basically said, I wonder if they're going to change the name to WWNXT. Literally, bro, that's what Raw has become anyway.
Pretty
Bro,
much.
I guarantee you in those 3 hours, it is getting close to there being just as many NXT guys that aren't over and were never over. There are just as many guys like that as there are legitimate WWE stars on that show.
I'm not going to argue with you. I mean, bro, there's nothing to talk. There's nothing to talk about. There was a few matches. They didn't really have any type of promos or nothing. It wouldn't, everybody the echo chamber wrestling that likes NXT, that likes all these guys, and stuff. They're going to trumpet it and like talk about it's great, but just the numbers don't lie. I mean, it's not that didn't. Someone's going to grab a new audience.
Explain that to me. I've never heard you say that before. Explain that to me. Echo chamber wrestling. Explain that to me.
Echo chamber of wrestling is basically the online noise. Everything on Twitter, the people that are putting it over, the people that talk about it being good, the people that are driving the narrative that this is the evolution of wrestling and this is the way it's going, and ignoring the facts that less people are watching. The echo chamber, they're not driving that narrative. They're driving the narrative that this stuff is great. Like Finn Balor's the next big thing. He's a good wrestler. He's a good-looking kid. He looks like $1 million. I thought it was he's small. I mean that's really the only problem with him. I mean I just think it should have been they've got no problem. The problem with wrestling, the fans these days, is all they care about, okay, is how good of a worker you are. They don't care what your size is. They don't care what your gimmick is. All they care about is how good your matches are. The guys that they think that the Echo Chamber is pushing, that's basically saying that they think are the best workers, are the guys that they want pushed to the main event levels on the show. That's why Roman Reigns gets booed. That's why they boo a guy like John Cena, and they cheer the work. Bro, then here's the worst part too. Because all they care about is the work. They're not even going to boo you if you're playing the part of a heel. They're going to cheer you because they like your work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
I want to stop you there for me because, bro, listen, you have been doing this many years. I'm not. I am talking to a worker. Glenn Gilberti is a worker. And Glenn, please, I love when you break this down because, bro, the WWE and wrestling is so far off of center that the most elementary, rudimentary phrases have been so blown out of proportion, and they don't even mean the same thing today. It's like changing the meaning of the word "the." If all of a sudden tomorrow the word "the" meant apple, that is what has happened to the word worker. Now, Glenn, coming up in the wrestling business as we knew it, which is forever gone, I understand that. But Glenn, explain to people what a good worker used to mean, where the origins came from. Because I don't think when people hear great worker, but basically what they think of now is, how high can he come off the top rope? How many continuous spots without selling anything? That's what they think of when you say worker today. Explain to them the origin of great worker in wrestling.
Well, all the great workers in wrestling are in the WWE Hall of Fame. But if they wrestled like that today, the crowd would be booing them out of the building. I can't describe it to you. You just have to see for yourself. I tell people constantly, if you want to just compare the wrestling today to wrestling back then, go watch Jake the Snake versus Ricky Steamboat. Just watch 3 minutes of it, and you're gonna sit there and say like, wow, this is just so much. What these guys are doing is just so much more logical of what the guys are doing right now. Like I said, there's no like anybody, bro. Anybody can be a professional wrestler today. Anybody. You don't really have to sell that good because they're not selling anything. It's like.
But Glenn, what I'm saying is, back in the day, if you, Glenn, are watching a match between Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes, you're watching it, and as a wrestler, you're sitting there and you're saying, God, what great workers. Mm-hmm. What are you meaning by that?
You can just listen to the people. They're working the crowd. They're making the punches. They're making it look like they're fighting each other. They're selling little things that really hurt in real life. Like if you kick somebody in the stomach and you punch somebody in the face, they're selling those things. When the crowd's popping because they're simple things, it looks like a fight. Like these days, it's that they pop on the acrobatics, and the more high risk the acrobatic spot is, and the execution of it, it literally is like the trapeze stuff on Cirque du Soleil, and the way the crowd pops when they succeed in completing a very difficult maneuver. Okay, and that's the same way that the crowd responds to wrestling today. The exact same way. They don't boo. They don't cheer. They don't cheer the good guy and boo the bad guy, because the bad guy is working with the good guy to provide these acrobatics. So they're working together, and bro, back when we grew up watching wrestling, people didn't applaud like that. They didn't clap, for spots like that. They didn't do that. They were emotionally invested because the guys were cutting promos on each other leading up to the fight. And the people went to go see the good guy beat up the bad guy. And that's, it's a complete, like I said, it's the evolution of wrestling.
Bro, Glenn, maybe about 6 months ago, I'll never forget this conversation because, bro, put this conversation in terms of wrestling today. Bro, I was at a convention or something, I don't even remember, but bro, listen to this. I go to eat, and Glenn, guess who's sitting there by himself?
Who?
Jim Myers, George the Animal Steel. So I'm like, bro, when I see opportunities like that, I pounce all over them. So I'm bringing my tray and I'm pulling up to Jim Myers, right? Glenn, do you know he was telling me stories as a shoot? Okay, bro? He would tell me, bro, when he wrestled at Shea Stadium. Let me repeat that. Shea Stadium. That Vince McMahon Sr. used to have to send the police from the back to the ring to get him after a match because he would have never made it to the back alive.
Yeah, but you can't get that. That's when people thought it was real. That's completely different. That's completely different. Okay, that's got nothing to do with today. The whole crowd is smartened up.
You don't believe today if a match is wrestled correctly with the correct psychology and the correct selling, you don't believe today that I could be suckered into that match as much as I was 10 years ago?
Oh, no way. There's absolutely no way.
I don't know if I agree with that,
because let me tell you something. You call this is a suspension of disbelief, okay? But as inside as wrestling is today, it's like there is no suspension of disbelief. There's too much education. The fans are watching because they've been educated into actually how to wrestle. It's like, the commercial, no, I never trained to be a wrestler, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express. Literally, that's what the type of education the fans are getting today, okay? And it's like the boys, like instead of letting and what's happened today is instead of letting the creative people run the shows, we've let the critics run the shows. And the boys are, they're not wrestling for the fans, they're wrestling for the critics, because the critics are driving the fans who to cheer for, and what to cheer. So it's like the boys are wrestling. Literally, there's if you want to go, probably 90% of the guys in the business, I would say, and it used to be, bro, guys like Ric Flair, Macho Man, that they didn't care, especially Hulk Hogan, didn't give a rat's ass what people thought of their match on the internet. Okay, or what people write about. But that's all the boys do, would like to go back to have the match, get the This Is Awesome chance, go back to the room, turn on the computer, and read that people like their match. Okay? And honestly, what they're doing is that type of in a bubble. That's a fun, that's a cool little thing, but you're not going to expand anything outside the bubble because there's a lot of fans that would like to watch wrestling for different reasons. Yeah. And the reasons that the evolution of wrestling is not providing. So.
But Glenn, let me ask you this: say you had two great workers in the virgin sense of what a great worker is. Say you had two really great workers, bro. Say over the course of a couple of months, two guys have legitimate heat with each other. I can't think of offhand like two guys in the wrestling business. I'm talking about wrestlers now that have legitimate heat with each other. But say, bro, for 3 or 6 months, stories going back and forth, these guys have legitimate heat with each other. Glenn, you actually believe that if something like that went on for 6 months and then all of a sudden that turns into a match, you don't even think we could make people believe that something like that? You don't think we could suspend the disbelief enough that two guys with legitimate heat are even fighting? So there's no fooling anybody ever again? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying what. Yeah. I'm just saying that, bro. The important thing isn't the match, okay? And the like, it doesn't matter if it's real. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All that matters is if you can get the fans to buy the tickets to come watch it. Once you have the money, it doesn't matter how good the match is. The match could stink, but if you've sold the match, you have the money in the pocket already. The problem is, however good that match is, will not change the amount of money you've already put in your pocket from that match. Now, it might change going forward, okay, but wrestling is proving the formula that regardless of how good the matches are, you're not turning that into dollars and cents. You can't sell a mass, you can't sell your market, your target market, to its maximum earnings potential. You can't sell them on, hey, these two guys are going to have a great match. Okay, a small percentage will buy it for that, but you're not going to sell it to the matches. Now, if you're going to sell, like, if two guys are going to kill each other, probably more people will buy it, and then they go out and they have a great match. You fool the fact that they're going to kill each other, okay? Not that they're going to have a good scripted wrestling match.
Right, of course.
Okay, so it's like,
right,
but
right.
I'm saying, but all we care about, we don't care about that part. All they care about is let's get to that match because that's going to be a good match.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're not honest. So that's where we've gone astray.
Yeah. Glenn, yesterday I did a podcast, a gentleman's podcast that we all know and love. A gentleman by the name of Stevie Ray.
Mm-hmm.
He had something to say about Glenn Gilbernetti.
I'm sure it was good because I just did his show.
Okay, well, I'm going to reveal that.
I just want to give my quick input on that topic you guys were just discussing. Fooling the fans into believing something is real, okay?
Yeah.
Now, before I ever got my introduction into how it worked by going to a wrestling school, as a fan, I never once cared about match quality, okay? I liked the guy or I didn't based on who he was. Now, there would be times like, say, Bill DeMott does a moonsault. Okay, I would be impressed by that. That stuff would be cool. Goldberg doing a spear. That's the stuff that would impress me, but I never sat down and said, man, this is going to be a good match because this guy is wrestling this guy. Also, as far as fooling people, I don't know if you can fool them on physicality because I would have to say 99% of the people know that the business is a work, but I think you can still fool them with the promo because we even look at today where, Cesaro, people are thinking that's a shoot. Mm-hmm. We're looking at what Randy Orton said about Brock Lesnar. People are thinking that's a shoot. There was two times that I thought, man, was that real? Okay? And Glenn, you might remember this first one because you were in WCW at the time. Eddie Guerrero came out. It was before the LWO started, and he started ripping Eric Bischoff on the mic, and they cut him off and went to commercial. It was just like he wasn't supposed to be saying that. That was one time I'm sitting there as a fan like, man, I wonder if that was legit. And the second time, and this is why I will never, ever, ever, ever believe that anything in the business is a shoot again. If I see it on TV, it's a work, was you, Vince, with Hogan. I thought that was real as a fan.
Yeah, bro, Stevie Ray was asking me about that yesterday. Stevie Ray did not know. 17 years later, he was asking me about that, which segues me to Stevie Ray. Glenn, talking to him yesterday, we talked about WCW and everything, and he had a theory about WCW shutting its doors. Would you like to hear that theory?
No.
All right. Okay, let's move on. Jeff, let's move on.
Okay, I have an update with the Melissa Santos.
Yeah, Glenn wasn't here for this, so fill Glenn in on what's going on. Breaking news. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hang on,
so,
real quick before we go forward with this, backward. Didn't Ric Flair make some comments about Finn Balor?
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
We are, okay.
We got breaking news, Glenn. Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, breaking news.
Yeah, so Melissa Santos originally tweeted, for those that don't watch Lucha Underground, she is the ring announcer. She's been on the shows with Vince 2 or 3 times. She said when Eden Styles, that was Brandy Rhodes' name in WWE when she was the ring announcer, the wife of Cody Rhodes, who recently left. When Eden Styles is rude when you try to talk to her at the gym, then you tell her you're from Lucha Underground and she changes her tune. But you walk the other way because she lost her chance to be nice. Okay, so Brandy has responded. Super unprofessional. This is to Melissa. Super unprofessional. I wasn't rude to you. You caught me off guard passing on the street and said, "Are you a ring announcer?" I said no, because I'm not, and thought nothing of it. Then you blast on Twitter after never even I resisting yourself. That sounds like there's a typo there. She continues, had you introduced yourself, I'd have happily talked to you. Every other person I've ever met can vouch for that. Best of luck. Then she says, introducing yourself got auto-corrected. Anyway, sorry you misinterpreted the situation. I hope you have a great day anyway. So that's where we stand right now.
Oh, so Melissa hasn't fired back yet.
Melissa hasn't fired back.
Interesting.
No, interesting.
Glenn, what's your take on what's happening here?
So shouldn't this be on Total Divas or something? Or
Yeah.
are they
Okay,
on
let's continue.
WWE?
Now, Glenn, you brought up a very good point. We're going to talk about it, bro. When the minute Finn Balor came out of my mouth, I spent all day Tuesday blocking people. Literally, I'm not kidding you,
you
bro.
lost a lot of followers too, right?
Yeah, I probably lost about 100 followers, but I mean they're all. I mean,
But in defense, you were very. Tell the story because I think you were being very racist towards the Irish people, and I'm surprised. How come Ahmed Heavy has not commented on this?
Yeah, I have not heard from. Yeah, he must be busy.
You know why? No, because he's too busy, making racist comments about Italians.
Yeah,
Nobody
exactly.
knows how we get.
We get it all the time, bro.
Yeah,
we get it all the time.
Especially from Ahmed Heavy.
But so I spend it all day blocking people, getting unfollowed, literally 24 hours. All of a sudden, Ric Flair, who we all love, and he's a wrestling god, and we bow down to him. We all love
Rushmore.
We all feel the same way about Ric Flair. All of a sudden, Ric Flair comes out today on his podcast. Let me plug it for him, MLW. That's where you could hear Ric Flair. And he makes the statement. I was trying to get the official quote, but Conrad didn't get back to me in time. But he said something along the lines of, a guy the size of Finn Balor will never headline a WrestleMania. So, my question is, now being that Ric Flair basically said exactly what Vince Russo said, is that okay and acceptable because Ric Flair said it, or is Ric Flair going to be blocking people on his Twitter account all day? I mean, that's what I want to know.
Oh, Ric Flair will be blocking people on Twitter all day too. I mean, they'll get on him, but this is just these are personal opinions. I mean, we're not supposed to we're doing these podcasts. We do these so people want to hear what our opinions are of things. We may not be right. We may be wrong. We may it doesn't matter. It's just a personal preference. You're not going to find like in the NFL. You're not going to find everybody that likes a 41-38 game with 500 yards passing from each guy. You're going to find guys that like to run the ball, just like different stuff. It's just there's different tastes. Like I said, the universe that they've created now in the WWE, Finn Balor's fine because the fan base that is watching the show, let's just assume that this is what the WWE, their universe they've created. They've created a universe based on the quality of the work, okay? And they're really not going to try to expand. They've already said, since they've already stated, bro, that ratings don't matter. Why should we think that they're trying to do things to get better ratings? So they don't. So this is the universe they have. If you're going to watch this show, this is what you're going to get. Okay, if you're a fan of good work, it doesn't matter if a 175-pound guy beats a 280-pound guy. If the 175-pound guy is the better worker in your opinion, okay, this is just going to happen. Daniel Bryan, got he got the millennial crowd with him. He got the and he was a main event. I'm just saying a little guy can headline a major pay-per-view. It's been proven. Daniel Bryan has provided that. But the thing is, and here's the problem with it, okay, is that because of Daniel Bryan, everybody is going to use the Daniel Bryan excuse.
That's right.
Okay, like the Daniel Bryan, the qualifier. You know what I'm saying? Well, Daniel Bryan did it. It's like, bro, Daniel Bryan, if you want to compare these guys to Daniel Bryan, then get some charisma. Get something like the yes chant. Get something that the fans can identify with, that can get the crowd, involved in the match. Do some of the things that Daniel Bryan did. Sell. Act like you're getting killed out there. Everything. Do the things that Daniel Bryan did before you start drawing comparisons. Just because you're small, you can work as Daniel Bryan worked.
Glenn, you want to hear something interesting, Glenn? I did not know Daniel Bryan from a hole in the wall, and I wasn't watching the product at the time. All of a sudden, I'm hearing Daniel Bryan. I said, let me tune in and watch this guy. So, Glenn, I tuned in and I watched this guy, and bro, my first reaction is, are you freaking kidding me with this guy? That was my first reaction. Glenn, 2 weeks later, I put on the show again, and Daniel Bryan is having a match with Kane. I'm watching this match, bro, and Daniel Bryan is selling this match like Kane is killing him. And when I saw Daniel Bryan sell and tell the story and the psychology, I'm like, oh, okay, now I get Daniel Bryan. I got it, bro. And from that point on, I was a fan. I'm sorry, when I watch Kevin Owens, when I watch El Generico, when I watch Finn Balor, I've never had that same experience when I watched Daniel Bryan, and the light bulb went off because, yes, the guy was small. Yes, he was a bit scrawny, but he sure as hell knew how to tell a story in the freaking ring.
It's just true. He learned, and bro, he was, that's the thing that shows you the intelligence of it. All the wrestlers today are pretty intelligent people. You got a lot of guys you got a lot of high IQ guys in the business. A lot of like tech savvy guys, and it's just the landscape. A lot of bro. So I found something fascinating. I found there was like 175 million gamers in the United States. That is more than half of the United States population that plays video games. Okay, so we're going to get, and then this is way bigger than the number 20-something years ago, bro. We weren't just hanging around. We weren't playing video games. We were going out. We were going to the clubs and stuff. And we weren't staying home playing video games. So this is, what has happened in the business. How like gamers, which are kind of like maybe smaller guys and stuff, everything kind of get into the business, and then that's the type of athletes we have today. Okay, so the problem, I'm not even going to say it's a problem. I'm just saying this is what you have to work with, right? But you look at the map, like the map that Daniel Bryan created is the map that people should follow. All right, and like I said, I mean, if these guys learn how to work that way, when he first came into WCW, when he first came into WWE, he was kind of like just basically that Ring of Honor style. He changed into working the WWE style. Bro, like I said, he got over by getting killed out there. Yep. Selling, it ended up hurting him because he took too many risks. But, bro, we saw the stories. He looked like he was getting beat up. Yep. And people get with that. And, bro, and this is such a perfect gimmick. He had fire. He sold his ass off, and he had the crowd participation yes chant where the arena is just erupting for your comeback. They're cheering for you and stuff. Bro, if other guys would look at that map, that simplistic map that this guy laid out, sell and do something that can identify you and connect you with the fans during the match instead of just the moves, just the false finishes, just the 80,000. Bro, and that's a whole other conversation. How like the super kick is like a chop now. The super kick doesn't even knock guys off their feet anymore. It's like so I mean, the dive over the top rope has taken the place of the headlock. So it's like, but like I just said, bro, the map is there of how to do this, how to get fans, and I just don't think a lot of these guys are But capable of doing it, even. I don't know.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit creative. And Jeff, have you been watching Impact?
Yes.
Okay,
What
good.
I was afraid was going to happen in Impact, I feel happened. I feel that the final deletion was done so well and so out of the envelope, and my fear was, God, bro, how do you sustain this? How do you keep this going? How do you not get back to the wrestling arena and get back to the typical wrestling show? That to me, and I told Jeremy this on the air. I told Jeremy this personally. That was my biggest concern. Now, let's not say his name, Glenn, because I don't want to get him any trouble. But I watched last night's show. You know, Matt Hardy is in the arena now. Matt Hardy is a wrestler on the show now, and the show was match after match after match. Bro, they got so many guys that look like a clone of each other. It's like it's not even funny. I'm just being honest with you. So I'm watching this, and I'm like, man, exactly what I was afraid was going to happen happened. Then, Glenn, let me tell you this. Ed Hardy made the comment to me, and I'm not going to say who Ed Hardy is. Harvey, Ed Heavy. Who is he? Heavy?
I'm at Heavy.
Yeah, I'm at Heavy. Made the comment, and I agree with him. He said to me, Vince, if I were booking Impact, if I was writing Impact, we would have never seen Matt Hardy until Bound for Glory. And like, I definitely agree with that a million times over. But, Jeff, having watched it and having seen the final deletion and having seen now Matt Hardy is back in the Impact Zone, what's your play on that, Jeff?
Well, at least they still did the thing. They still did something outside of the arena. They did the whole jump on the bike deal. But the one thing I noticed is I think Matt Hardy got the biggest reaction since he's been in TNA. In the past few years anyway, not since his original debut, but the crowd reacted to him differently when he came out this week. I think that's good. And the other thing is, they didn't lose their audience going to Thursday. They still had about the same amount of viewers, so that's a good thing. So I don't know if I don't know if what they're doing is enough. Yeah. I mean, I see what you're saying about him just being a wrestler in the Bound for Glory playoffs and all that, but I think now they have an established wrestler on the roster that is known for his character and known for what he does outside the ring and not in the ring. You know what I mean?
But you know what, Jeff? While JB and Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy, while they're creating this, bro, not for anything, but, Dave Lagana and Matt Conway and Billy Corgan, they need to be creating something else on the inside. Because, bro, again, I watched Impact yesterday. I hadn't watched it in a while. Take away the Hardy saga. You've got wrestler after wrestler after wrestler mad at each other.
That's true, but, there was some other things, though.
Tell me. Maybe I missed it then. Tell me what I missed.
Rosemary sucking face with Bram.
Well, they didn't keep me that long, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, they were going at it hot and heavy. I mean, this was no wrestling. I mean, they looked like they.
That's a good point too. I didn't see that, bro. Bro, Miz and Maurice are married. I'm like, why don't they stick their tongues down each other's throat when they kiss each other on the show? Have you seen that, Vince? Yeah. When Miz comes out, it's like they look. I always get the feeling that when they kiss each other on the show, that before they came out from the curtain, they were probably having a big argument backstage. It's like, bro, they do like a little peck on the lips. Yeah. I'm like, if I had my wife out there, I'd be feeling her up and sticking my tongue down her throat.
There you
go. I mean, that's just gonna go,
Yeah, but you see, Jeff, that's the point, bro. They didn't get me that far. Bro, I'll tell you exactly where I turned off. They were promoting the match between Bram and Galloway. Yeah, that match was coming up. And like the first thing I'm looking at is, first of all, these guys look like twin brothers. And it was being promoted. It was just another wrestling match. Bro, right then and there, that's when I said, okay, guys, I tried this. All I'm seeing is mad wrestler after mad wrestler. The promos aren't special. The matches aren't special. You lost me. So I'm glad we're talking about this because there was something better later, and I missed it because they didn't hook me.
But you watch it afterwards, and you would sit there thinking, man, are these two really dating the way they were going at it? And you compare that to what Glenn was talking about with Miz and Maurice, who are really married, and they're just pecking each other on the lips. So, that was good. I like that. I think it's hard to ignore something like that. If you make it through enough to see it. So I thought that was good.
Glenn, why did they never write a love interest for you throughout your illustrious WCW career? Why didn't you have a love interest?
I don't know. Why are you asking me?
I'm just asking you. I'm asking you, bro. But what's your opinion? I'm asking you. Why do you think they never wrote that?
You have Kevin Sullivan on the show. Why didn't you ask him why they never wrote a love interest for you? It was like, how come you never wrote a love interest for you when you were the heavyweight champion on the WCW? Right. You could have wrote a love interest for me.
Let's not get panicky, bro. Kong wasn't working for us at the time.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, Jeff, what's next on the news for Mr. Gilberti?
Well, it's come out through TMZ originally, and that WWE will not be disciplining Brock Lesnar for the UFC drug test results. And the reason why, according to TMZ, is that a spokesperson stated that only full-time WWE performers are subject to the organization's wellness policy, which prohibits PEDs. But since Brock isn't a full-time performer, he's essentially exempt. Thoughts on that, gentlemen?
Glenn, I'd love to hear you on this one, bro.
Thank God. You know my take on this. I'd rather see Brock on the show than have him suspended, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I know, but what kind of a ruling is that, bro? Because he's not a. Come on.
Bro, the guy wrestles. He's on the show like 5 times a year. He's suspended anyway. He's on the show once. He's on the show 6 weeks later. The suspensions are 30 days. What's the point of suspending a guy for 30 days when he's not even on the show?
But Glenn,
so think about it that. Well, think about it logically.
Let's not forget why Billy Gunn lost his job, bro. Billy Gunn lost his job for the same exact reason, bro. He was in another competition, and in the other competition he used performance-enhancing drugs. It had nothing to do with his job at the WWE. He lost his job, bro. You're gonna tell me this isn't the same?
Yeah, he's a full-time performer. He worked there full-time. This is Brock Lesnar's hardly ever there. He's on the show 10. But Jeff, how many appearances does Brock make a year? 10?
I think they said it was 19. There was an article.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I think that was in actually the last 2 years. It was only 19 or something like that. So.
What show did he get drafted to? Raw?
Yeah.
They really need him.
I'm going back to my list. I'm going back to my list because you're being argumentative.
I thought you asked my opinion.
You're purposely not agreeing with me. Yeah. So my friend, are a gump. Half Glenn and half chump. You are a gump. What's next, Jeff?
Update. Melissa Santos has responded.
Boy, here we go.
We got a nice resolution here. It appears that it is over. It appears the heat is over.
Boo.
Melissa said to Brandy, "That was nice of you. I appreciate it. I totally felt bad after. I honestly was taken by the moment. Truce."
This is wrestling, ladies. We don't have truces here.
Yes, but Brandy's not in wrestling anymore. Yeah, she's a model now, and she's doing a lot of other creative things. She's writing a book.
All right, what's next, Jeff?
All right, Jonathan Coachman, who was the coach in WWE, announcer, part-time performer in the ring, made some controversy this week because he took the side of Vince McMahon in the WWE against these 50 or so wrestlers that are filing a lawsuit about head injuries. And this is what he said, and he said this on ESPN. "This is a very, very close topic for me. 2003 was the first time I got in the ring to train to be an in-ring participant. The very first day I was there, I suffered a concussion. There's a very good chance I didn't get them all evaluated, but probably between 10 and 20 concussions during my time from 2003 to 2008. Oh, come on.
That's a little much, Coachman, please. 10 to 20. I got a concussion too, bro. Maybe 3. 10 to 20. Was the guy competing for the WWE title, bro, during that time?
But you got to remember, he's also taking the side of the WWE in this. with that said.
No, I know that. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, bro.
Yeah, so I don't think that comment helps the cause.
No, it
You know what I
doesn't.
mean?
And I'll tell you, bro. Let me tell you this: with this concussion testing, stuff and everything, bro. I'm watching the matches on the show. They should test these guys for concussions after the matches anyway. That they're clobbering each other. There's so many kicks to the head unprotected, so many forearms to the head unprotected, that they should actually just undergo concussion testing after the match. If they're serious about concussion testing, they need to look at these guys after the match. Like I mean, my eyes are not lying. Okay, I'm not mystery seeing things. I'm seeing what they're doing. They're kicking each other, especially the Cruiserweight Championships series they got, that CWC thing they got. These guys are kicking each other in the head constantly, kicking each other in the face constantly. And these are things that we know, based on the knowledge of concussion we have, that can cause you a concussion. And I'm gonna sit there and look at that. If there was like in the NFL where they have the guy watching over the concussion protocol guy, bro, every single match in WWE they should go through the protocol testing afterwards, because they're not. That's all this concussion stuff is just like it's played out in the media. Whatever narrative the media is just choosing, that's the side that people will take, But I'm watching it. I mean, if they're serious about concussions, check these guys after every single match, because trust me, I guarantee you that on that pay-per-view, especially, that one or two of those guys probably got flash. When you get hit in the head, and like it hurts, like a quick, if you get hit hard in the head, technically that is a concussion. You've been concussed. It may not be a serious one, but that is the definition of a concussion. So, like I said, bro, go ahead.
So Jeff, go ahead now. So he said he might have had up to 20 concussions.
Yeah, there's a lot more to this. I didn't even get to the juicy parts yet.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
He said 10 to 20 concussions from 03 to 08, and then he continues. The one thing I've always said about Vince McMahon is this: he is more loyal than any person, boss, or human being I've met in my life, and it's not just because he signed my paychecks for nearly a decade. I don't like it. In fact, I hate it when a certain group of people, and this was always the case when stars would leave to go somewhere else, or they'd get fired because of something stupid they did, then they would blame Vince for whatever issues they had. Vince has recognized that, so he has paid all these guys for years and years. And all he asks is once a year at WrestleMania, they show up, sign some autographs, shake some hands, and then he pays them enough to live. In response to this, what do these 50 guys do? They go out and file a lawsuit that he was not there for them and the company was not there for them when they had all these concussion issues. This drives me crazy because for a lot of these people, this is a dream come true. It's not an easy business. It's a tough business, but to come out and say the company didn't take care of you because of these concussions is just wrong. It will go away, and as a former employee and a person that loves that business, it just drives me crazy, and I don't like it.
Glenn?
I can't really, I'm not going to disagree with him on his opinion. I mean, bro, every professional wrestler knows what they're getting into, kind of, If you get issues like the concussion thing, is there's just two different sides. Either you think that, either you knew what you were getting into, or you think that they were taking advantage of you. And then probably the answer is probably in between.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
I don't think there's a right or wrong in this.
Yeah.
My opinion is I took care of myself in there, and I know I didn't get hardly any. I know when I got a concussion, and I haven't had hardly any. I think I've only had one. Like I told you the story, and I wouldn't.
I disagree with Coachman because what he's failing to discuss is for every guy that Vince McMahon does take care of, and he does take care of, bro, I've said it a million times. There are guys on WWE payroll that do nothing because Vince McMahon is taking care of them. I've said that a million times. I saw that, bro. I don't take that away from the man. But you've heard me say on this show several times, for everyone he takes care of, there's one that he kicks to the curb. And I've said several times, I don't know how you get on what list. I don't know how you get on the list. Oh, I got a Legends contract. You're going to take care of me the rest of my life. And I don't know how you get on the list. Oh, Joe Laurinaitis, thank you, but no thank you. We have nothing for you. I don't know how that works. So what Coachman needs to understand is, yes, Vince McMahon does take care of people, and he does give them Legends contracts and ask them to show up, once a year at WrestleMania. Yes. But for every one of those guys, there's a guy that he won't give the right time of day to. Vito LaGrasso asked, "Can you put me on the? Jeff? What is it? What's the list when they're
alumni? The alumni page.
Can you put me on the alumni site so it'll help me get bookings? I used to work at the WWE. Can you make me alumni?" Well, the answer to Vito was no. We can't make you alumni. So Vito's like, well, you make A, B, C, and D an alumni. Why can't I be an alumni? So the problem is, for everybody Vince takes care of, he shits on somebody else. And the ones that he shits on are the names on the concussion list. So I don't know what Jonathan Coachman doesn't understand about that.
My question with this is, he says that he has paid all these guys for years and years, and all he asks is once a year they show up, sign some autographs, shake some hands at WrestleMania, and then he pays them enough to live. In response, what do these 50 guys do? I find it hard to believe that these 50 guys fit that category that he was talking about. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If they were, I don't think this would be taking place, like you were saying. I don't think these guys on the list have these Legends contracts.
That's the thing, bro. For every Pat Patterson, there's a China. For every Gerald Briscoe, there's a Vince Russo. That's the issue. It's a pick and choose, and the ones that he doesn't choose, those are the ones that come back and haunt them. It's real simple to me. But anyway, what's next, bro?
Well, just the ratings in from the first week of the brand split.
Glenn, you didn't watch Raw and SmackDown, did you, Glenn?
Yes, I watched Raw. I didn't watch SmackDown yet.
I wish you would have, because I think there was a huge psychological difference in the two shows.
It read absolutely. SmackDown read like a better show.
Yeah, they wrestled. SmackDown... They wrestled, bro. Bro, Dolph Ziggler won a match with a super kick. Randy Orton hit one RKO, and Miz was in La La Land. Bro, right. The style of it was wrestling, bro. It was a completely different style than what you see on Raw.
Well, the thing that I noticed about the show was that they gave they basically, when they were this is the thing that I couldn't believe on Raw. And this to me is a fundamental problem that people just don't care about, and I think it's. I mean, I can't believe that they do this, you know? Like, you know how I told you, like, I read the review of the show. Okay, I read Jason Powell, his ProWrestling.net's review. And just one thing that I noticed throughout the show, all these guys are in this match. All these guys, there's matches throughout the show. Bro, nobody comes on and talks about the match they have coming up. You don't know what their mindset is going in. You don't know what their motivation. You don't know what to think of their opponent. You don't know what to think of the company. They get nothing. They just go out there and wrestle, and there's a winner and a loser. That's it. Yeah. And then maybe they talk to the winner and loser afterwards. But but constantly throughout the show, this is what it reads, and you watch it, and I think this is a huge mistake. If you have 50 minutes devoted to 8 guys, the two four-way matches, and then the main event where the winner faces each other. Okay, you have about 50 minutes of ring time. All right, bro, you couldn't take 2 minutes off of that wrestling and have 48 minutes of wrestling in 3 matches of 50 minutes and give 2 minutes and follow up on Cesaro's comments that he made after the draft. You know, Cesaro didn't say a word. Mm-hmm. That was so all this, even though they're playing to the internet audience, all that buzz that we had going in and everything, completely not addressed. Okay? On SmackDown, I noticed that some guys that needed mic time because their characters are probably low on the card or they have a big match coming up were given the time to talk. Dolph Ziggler got a chance to talk about his match. Heath Slater got some good mic time to develop a character because this is how what I saw on SmackDown is they said, look, our roster probably is not as strong as the others, wrestling wise, and in their opinion, that they probably think they got the better wrestlers. But we're going to build characters on this show. I mean, we're going to take our first match guys, and we're going to move them to mid-card status. And then we're going to continue to build, maybe try to move them to where we can have 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 guys at the top instead of just like 2 to 3. You know what I'm saying? So philosophically, bro, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised that if they continue with that style of show, if SmackDown does not have a better rating than Raw, especially with John Cena. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? If they're going with Finn Balor to run as the top guy on Raw, and SmackDown goes with John Cena, I honestly think that over the course of time, SmackDown might get a better number because it's a shorter show. Yeah. It's a shorter show. Yeah. You know, and the philosophy is
I'm telling you, they are purposely booking the shows this way. I'm telling you because they want to see what the end result is. I'm telling you that's why one finishing move and the match was over. That's why guys got to talk. They're purposely booking the matches differently to measure the success of each show compared to each other. I guarantee you. And Glenn, what about this, bro? You brought up Cesaro. How in God's name does Roman Reigns return and not address the suspension? Like, how is that even?
Like I said, there's so many stories that were just not addressed at all.
Forget it.
So, but you filled the show with 20-minute matches, 13-minute matches, 15. Like, good, bro. It's like, dude, I don't care what anybody says. You can have a good 7 to 8-minute match.
Yep.
Take away 1 million of the false finishes because one guy's beating the other guy. One guy's going over, and who knows what's going to happen the next week. But that's the said when you build it around match quality, they say, well, we need to give these guys some time. It's like, all right, but the viewer doesn't want time. The viewer wants the match to probably end as quickly as possible so we can get on to the next thing of the show, Yeah. So,
but like I said, Jeff, what's the funny thing? They purposely booked these two shows with two different styles.
How do you know that?
Because, bro, I watched them both. They're two different shows, bro. They're two different products, bro.
Well, let me tell you this. You probably have one writer on one show and another writer on the other show. The guy that's writing SmackDown is probably the type of guy writing the show is like, hey, we need to interview here. Bro, because that's the writing of the show. I don't think with 5 hours of live TV booked back-to-back that Vince can micromanage those shows. When you would write the show, like we said, when we would sit in the booking meetings and you'd write the shows, we would talk about what we would do, matches, stuff, everything. But then when you write the show and you come back and there was a 2-minute interview with Kiwi, there was a 1-minute interview with Sanders. You would interject things when you wrote the show that we didn't discuss.
Right.
So bro, honestly, I imagine that's the process that they have right now, and the guy that's writing Raw just isn't writing. Just like is not taking the time to write that stuff. Like, hey, let's follow about Cesaro.
But Glenn, I'm telling you, the in-ring product look like two different companies. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, bro, no, night and freaking day. They wrestled. They wrestled, bro.
You'd almost assume it was separated that way because of this. Because for the majority, the people you have on SmackDown are wrestlers, and the people you have on Raw are tumblers. Majority, not all of them. Yes. But on SmackDown, you had Miz, Randy Orton, John Cena, Kane, Rhino,
Ray.
Natalia, who?
Bro, I'm like, John Cena. Bro, I'm like
Ziggler,
thinking you're reading those names, and I can't believe that's the B show.
Yeah, I know.
Because like you're reading those names, and I go, bro, we got all the good talkers are on this show.
Yeah.
Brace, all these guys, like, wow, that's
But you know what? Jeff, please mark down today's date, July 28th, and mark down both me and Glenn saying this. Because, bro, I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. I know the internet wrestling community like the back of my backside. Bro, if they continue this style, the casual wrestling fans are going to watch SmackDown before Raw. There's no doubt. No, especially the difference in time alone. There's no doubt. But you know what we're going to get, Jeff, right?
Monday Night Football?
Exactly. That's going to be the excuse. So that's why nothing will ever change. Because SmackDown will overtake Raw, and the out is, well, they're not up against Monday Night Football. That's it. So you know where it's going already.
Yeah, well, I mean, this week SmackDown was against the Democratic Convention, and nobody's saying a word about that. It's all Raw beat SmackDown this week.
Yep,
so.
exactly.
Yeah, well, let me tell you this too. Here's a question: wasn't SmackDown? What was it? A month ago or 6 weeks that they were down to like what was it? 1.7 million viewers.
Yeah, something like
Bro,
that.
Bro, they've had go online. They had 1 million viewers in 6 weeks.
Yep,
That's fast. That's fascinating.
Yeah, they just did 2.7 million.
And then 3 million the week of the bro. How did it? So think about that. Okay, think about that. There was an audience out there of people that just stopped watching. They probably keep up with it on Twitter. They could, they follow the product. I mean, the WWE is 80. What is that? Some ridiculous sick amount of Twitter followers. How many is it, Jeff? Do you know? Like 80 million.
I mean, overall on all their things, they're over.
So,
they talk about millions and billions.
You have that many people connected to the product. Okay, you can get, bro. They can get 4 million people watching the show again.
Mm-hmm.
You can get 4 million people watching the show again, which should be their goal. To have 4 million people watching both those shows, seeing what works to get them to that point again, and then work your way to try and gradually, slowly work your way to 5 million again. You know.
Yep.
But like I'm saying, I trust me. You're with me. I guarantee it's SmackDown when they start having some pretty good angles with Cena gets to cut promos. Cena, bro, like I can't really see it. What pick was Cena? Like 6th? I thought bro, if they go the way they should, John Cena should come on that show right off the bat. Say, bro, dude, those 5 guys you guys drafted ahead of me never draw a dime.
And also, Glenn, I got to tell you something. Like, Glenn, I came up. I got it written down somewhere, but I came up with like
what show is Enzo and Cass on?
Raw.
Oh, they're on. That's good for Raw.
Bro, I came up with 5 reasons why SmackDown's a better show. Mm-hmm. I don't remember them, but bro, listen, as elementary and petty on my part that this sounds, I'm telling you, Glenn, the fact that Stephanie McMahon has the wrong kind of heat, you enjoy watching Shane compared to Stephanie.
And Bryan and Daniel Bryan too.
What was that?
Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, exactly.
Bryan.
Very, 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 very likable. Very likable. Mm-hmm. The fact that Stephanie has the wrong heat, you don't enjoy watching her. And that's a big difference in these 2 shows, bro.
Mm-hmm. Could be. I mean, I don't know.
There were a couple reasons. I wrote them down. I don't know what I did with them, but anyway. Yeah, 2 hours versus 3 hours. Shane versus NXT. There's more of Shane versus Stephanie. There's much more of an NXT influence on Raw. On SmackDown, wrestlers are wrestling. And number 5, Jeff, Eva Marie is on SmackDown.
Yeah, and I don't think you even mentioned the commentary, but to me that was
night and day. Night and day, bro. Night and day. All right. Is that it, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even get into the numbers. When you said SmackDown was 2.7, Raw was 3.3 million. Yeah, it was up from last week's 3.1. The SmackDown, it didn't break it down into hours, so I don't know the hourly breakdown, but Raw, tiny decline each hour, went 3.4, 3.3 to 3.2 million. So.
Yeah. All right, Glenn, thanks for joining us, bro. I appreciate it as always. Going forward, Glenn Gilberti. I'm not going to call you Gilbernetti anymore. And can you say thank you?
Thank you, and also you can catch me at the Real Disco.
Yes.
You can also hear me on the Keeping It 100 show with Conan, where he tries to hijack the show from me, but I don't let him.
All right.
My fans love me.
God. All right. There he is, everybody. The human oxygen thief, Glenn Gilbernetti. Glenn, take care. I love you, bro.